It's not the morning, it's the night. Trending in the AM becomes trending in the PM because the Eagles have finally gotten the job done. NFC East champions, number one seat in the NFL. We're live, taking all your thoughts, our discussion about it here in 30 seconds.
Holding, gets around in front.
And Philadelphia has it.
And a very good evening, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, and follow. But especially on the DSM Media YouTube page, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's see if we can get to 700 tonight while we do this show. We're 2 away from that 700 subscriber number. Let's get there tonight while we talk Philadelphia Eagles. Look, I got a busy day at the pizza shop tomorrow. We were going to pre-record the show, but you know I love the fan interaction. You know I love getting the live from everybody. So we decided to just go live instead of recording. You can still watch this show on replay tomorrow and in other days. And I am Phil Slifer, your host. We got Jason Voorhees there. We got Mark Moscatelli down below. We're not taking guests on board the show tonight, Steve, but definitely drop your comments in the comments section. We'll get them up on the screen. Guys, the Eagles finally. It took 3 weeks, but they finally locked up the number one seed, the NFC East. Everything. It's locked. It's done. We get next week off. We can coast for a week. It's done with the 22-16. I don't even know what the final score is. I kind of tuned out at the end. 22-16 victory over the Giants, guys. It was a lot more complicated of a game than we hoped, than we expected. Ones versus the twos. But we got the job done. And I know Mark's going to criticize some of the game. Jason might criticize some of the game. But, guys, I don't care. I don't care how bad we look today. The job got completed. We are the number one seed. We've got 2 weeks to figure it all out. What do you guys think? We'll start with you, Jason. What are your thoughts on that philosophy right there? The job's done. That's all that matters at this point.
I mean, can't disagree with you. They came this close to your 15-2 prediction that you had written on that cardboard piece of paper at the beginning of the year. I know you still have it somewhere.
Oh, it's here. It's here.
But listen, I saw a lot of people, including myself, live tweeting, criticizing, once again, Shane Steichen, this play calling, the fact that they disregarded the running game the entire first half again. You can complain all you want, but as you said, at the end of the day, the mission was accomplished. 14-3, they are the number one seed. Yes, they look sluggish, and they have looked sluggish for the past few games now. I get all that. I do think the rest will be much needed, especially for the guy who I believe, first and foremost, is the most important player on this team. And I think we all agree with that now, Lane Johnson. So hope to God that he is back for the playoffs, because if he's not, I don't think it would matter who is behind center. They're going to be in trouble because they could not stop a Giants pass rush that was basically being played with second and third stringers. They were all over Hurts today, and our first team pass rush was not able to get home. The only 2 sacks we had came on non-defensive plays. So how about that?
Right. So Mark, let's get to you then. So are you on, the criticizing boat? Because we do look sluggish. There's no doubt about it. The Eagles do look like a sluggish team the last couple of weeks. But I think there's a lot of factors that go into them being sluggish. Mark, is it just can I just enjoy this moment that we've gone from a dreadful 2020 to 9-8 wild card team last year to a 14-3 and the number one seed that quickly? Can we just enjoy it? Understand that there's work to be done, but we've got 2 weeks to work it out, 2 weeks to get healthy. Can we just be happy at this moment?
No.
Oh, come on.
Now, you know what?
What a curmudgeon you are.
All right. So listen, your intro into the show is like now we can coast these next 2 weeks. They've been coasting for like 3 weeks now. I mean, you can argue that they were coasting in that Bears game too. But like now is not the time to be coasting. Now is the time to really they had an opportunity to rest their players these last 3 weeks, and they couldn't seal the deal. And they got Hurts hurt, and in my opinion, they brought him back early. You could tell by the game plan that they had today, and honestly, the game plan worked. He was throwing those quick slants, those dump offs, those screen passes that you weren't exposing him too much, although Jason, yes, to the right side. That dude McLeod was in his face all day. And he really didn't get hit all that much. And when he did run and when he wasn't, he was sliding. Whether he had 1 yard or 50 yards, he was sliding. So they did have a plan, and I did work, but they couldn't finish the deal. They kept kicking field goals. And I'm like, guys, if you can just punch in a couple, be up 21-0 at half, and get a score on that drive to open the third quarter, and you start pulling guys out, and they could at least rest a half, and relax. But no, you ended up having to play both sides of the ball the entire game, and I just with injuries already, it's the end of the season, and the longer that you're out there, the more chances you are getting hurt. Mike Williams of the Chargers got hurt. He hurt his back, and he got pulled out. Well, so I don't want to see it.
97% of the time he plays, he gets hurt.
What's that?
Mike Williams gets hurt like 97% of the time.
But still, man, they a team like that, they need him for the playoffs,
So kind of, I want to address, because Drew brings up an interesting point here, and Drew says, they stopped worrying about today because they weren't going all out, because they wasn't trying to get anybody hurt. Now, that is actually what I saw today. I saw, I talked about it this week on the show with different guests and all. James Bradbury made comments leading up to this week's game saying, look, we started to smell ourselves. We started to take ourselves too highly. We didn't take it seriously. A lot of comments basically saying that they were getting ahead of themselves. Well, they got ahead of themselves today. They knew they were going up against, David Webb, whatever his name is, a bunch of backups. They kind of went in. They knew they had to play as starters, but the game plan was to protect their players. The game plan was to not go all out, so to speak. And the problem with that is you get sloppy play because players are trying not to get hurt. They may have looked better today if Gardner Minshew had started, if a lot of the backups got more regular play and you had a regular game plan. But because they were trying to get Hurts out there, and get him some, reps before the playoffs, but also telling him, don't take a hit, don't be who you are, telling these running backs and these linebackers and everybody across the board, hey, let's win this game, but be careful, guys. That was probably part of the message today. That was detrimental to the performance you saw on the field.
And also, Phil, that's how you get hurt.
It's 100% how you get hurt as well. I agree with you 100% on that.
I mean, listen, they won the game. I'm happy that they won the game. I'm not happy that it took 3 weeks for them to seal up home field advantage. I'm not happy with some of the play that I did see.
We didn't even need to win the game today. Well, we did because I guess
yes, we did because the 49ers won.
49ers, but the Dallas Cowboys ended up losing, so we had the NFC East no matter what. Who would have thought the Dallas Cowboys were going to go in and lose to the Sam Howell-led Washington Commanders? I don't even know if I got his name right. We had so many third-string quarterbacks starting today. I don't know who's who. Jason, I mean, I'm just trying to get to the point where it would honestly, I would say the biggest mistake made today was playing people like Jalen Hurts because of the way, if you're going to play Jalen Hurts, you had to play him full bore. Here, let's play him 2 quarters, no restrictions. That way you get the rust off. The coaching, because you brought up Shane Steichen, and everyone brings up Shane Steichen's play calling. Problem is, Shane Steichen's play calling is being hampered by having to protect Jalen Hurts, by using Gardner Minshew. Just let everyone get their confidence back for 2 quarters, and then just pull them, no matter what the score is. That would have been probably the smarter way to go, right?
I mean, you and I kind of, I think, tweeted a similar tweet to that effect. I firmly believe that if Jalen Hurts is healthy enough to play the game, then he should have been full blast. You should not have restrictions on a guy whose most important part of his arsenal is his legs.
Right.
That's what makes him such a special player. And when you handcuff that, I think to an extent, you're right. I think it's detrimental to the entire offense. What was the purpose of playing Hurts? If you're going to play him, then let him play. If you're not, then play Minshew, and you still would have won the game. Because the whole point last week was that the defense of the Saints wouldn't respect Gardner Minshew on the RPOs.
Well, they weren't respecting Jalen Hurts on the RPOs today either because they knew Jalen Hurts wasn't running the ball. They weren't running design plays. So if you're going to hamstring your offense, then either don't play him or go full bore. Get the rust off. Because now in 2 weeks, whoever we play, there is still going to be that rust factor that's going to come into when we're talking Thursday, Friday, leading into not next week, the divisional round game. We're still going to be talking about rust on these players because who knows?
And the one other thing that was frustrating to me, and I'm pretty sure that you guys probably picked up on it, Dallas Goedert was wide open almost every single play, but yet they continued to try to go that deep ball to A.J. Brown. And I love A.J. Brown, and I love the connection between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. But if you're trying to get Jalen Hurts more consistent and get him back used to being in the offense, why not go to those over-the-middle plays to Goddard when he's wide open almost every single play? I
talked about that like 4 to 6 weeks ago. I said that A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts, they fall in love with that deep play. And it's not even like it's not even like a read it and see. It's just, hey, in the huddle, they break. Hey, I'm going long to you this play. There's not even a question. He just drops back and slings it because, yes, it works, more often than it doesn't, but they fall in love with that same play way too often and they just keep slinging it 3-4 plays a game. On the other side of that, though, Jason, is that doing that consistently like that, hypothetically speaking, should open up the middle even more for Dallas Goedert, for Miles Sanders, whoever's running the ball, Jalen Hurts running the ball. Mark, do they fall in love with that play too much, or is there a method to their madness there?
No, I think part of what happened is with Dallas being out for a few games, he's built a rapport with his wide receivers, 100%. and he's felt comfortable going to them more so than Dallas came back. Now, I personally, I'd be using all the weapons and spreading everything out. I do think, to Jason's point, if the dude's open, throw him the ball, because as much as you want to get the rust off of Hurts, you also want to get the rust off of Dallas Goedert. You need him in the playoffs. You need him as that safety valve. He had 6 catches today for 46 yards.
I was just going to say, I pulled up the box score just to counter Jason's point. A.J. Brown had 10 targets, Devontae Smith 8, Dallas Goedert had 7. So honestly, that's not a bad spread. Like, eye test wise, it didn't seem like he was targeting Dallas enough. But if your top guy's got 10 and your tight end's got 7, I guess that doesn't seem as bad when you see it on paper.
Legit point. I mean, I think, I guess I'm just using my eye test, seeing the guy open. I'm thinking, why is he not being thrown to? But you're right. I think it kind of goes both ways. I mean, but we could say the same thing. I mean, you've brought it up about Miles Sanders kind of being non-existent the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was going to be actually
Kenneth Gainwell
right there. I mean, we don't really have to break the X's and O's of this game down per se, but we can look at this game and look forward. And I put out the tweet about, somewhere towards the end of the fourth quarter, Miles Sanders is a 1,000-yard runner. He's got 10-plus touchdowns on the year. Obviously, the lead back. Is the lack of his usage the last couple of weeks, is that the frustration of the coaching staff with his fumbles, because he did finally start fumbling the ball again and making mistakes? Is it the knee?
It's the knee, dude.
Or Mark, could it be what their original plan this year wasn't for Miles Sanders to go off for this huge season? It was to have a balanced running back trio back there. And you're seeing Kenneth Gainwell get more than just the 2-minute drill snaps the last 3 weeks, especially the last 2 weeks. Mark, you're saying it's the knee.
Well, I mean, for Sanders, I think that dude's hurt. I mean, you don't put a knee brace like that on a guy if all it is a little bumper bruise or strain. There's something going on with his knee that they're not making it known. Now, I noticed like he was off the field for a lot for the game. I'm curious to see what the how many snaps he played on offense.
Right.
Boston Scott performed admirably. He had 9 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. Giant killer. He had a couple big first downs as well.
That's the giant. That's the giant killer right there.
Yeah, dude, I love that dude. Like,
you're always going to see that.
I bet you everybody and their mother bet any time touchdown for him because it was bound to happen, man. It was bound to happen. You know, I'm just looking at the stats. Hurts ran 9 times. Now, I don't think they were all designs. If anything, there were probably a lot of scrambles and stuff. And they were very conservative, and they were very vanilla.
I don't know how many of those were the kneel downs at the end of the game. Also, I don't know how many times he had to kneel the ball down after they got the ball back, but
there was 3. There were at least 3. Okay,
those were kneel downs at the end of the game.
Good point to bring up. But yeah, listen, the offense was very vanilla. They weren't going to show much. My concern is when they were in scoring position, they kept kicking field goals, and the game ended up being a hell of a lot closer than it really needed to be. MVP of the game was Jake Elliott. He did phenomenal, and he's had under the radar really good season. He had 2 50-plus yard field goals today. I don't know if everybody noticed that or not. I mean, they weren't getting in the end zone, so they had to get these field goals in. And 50-yarders are still, I mean, they're a lot easier to do today with the type of kicker they have, but they're still not the easiest thing to do. They needed him to score, and he did. I just wish they would have scored more touchdowns today. That way they can just start sitting people and whatnot. I really didn't want to see Sanders and Hurts playing a whole game. I didn't want to see our offensive line playing a whole game. I think the defensive line, they've been cycling those guys out a lot. They're not guys like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox aren't playing nearly as much as they used to in the past, partially age, partially performance. So I didn't have too much of a problem with what they did on defense, but I really wanted to see some rest. I really did. I know they got the bye, but I this should have been locked up 2 weeks ago, in my opinion. And it just frustrates me that it isn't. It does.
I don't know. I think you guys need to just relax and enjoy the moment a little bit more. I mean, and I'm less concerned about the offense and the way the offense looked today than I am with the defense and how the defense. Look, the defense played good today. They were after the ball. They were flying all over the place. But they're going up against a guy that had never started a single game in his NFL career. How many passes did he have in his NFL career before today? Davis
0.
Webb. You know, I mean, I'm not saying they did good. They held him to 16 points, but they gave up chunk plays at bad moments. They bit on routes, a couple times. They missed a few tackles that didn't result in scores. To me, the last 3 weeks has been more telling on the defense. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, the defense only gave up how many points to the Saints? Really only 13 of the 20 were the defense's fault because of the pick 6. But yet they still continue to this point. They excel, and they're ranked in the top 3 in the NFL despite this bad scheme that Jonathan Gannon's got. And let me tell you something. Depending on who we have to face in the second round, in the divisional round of the playoffs, if it's a superstar quarterback, I don't know where the odds are lying right now on who we're going to face, but we're in trouble if it's somebody like Tom Brady that's going to be able to pick our defense apart, or one of these other superstar quarterbacks that are going to be out there. I mean, the defense should have been able to pitch a shutout today. No question about it. When you got Davis Webb back there, you should pitch a shutout. Jason?
I do agree with you, but I think today specifically, I think they were kind of pressing. I think you could tell they were trying – it was almost like you could see they knew that sack record was within reach, and they were over-trying to get a sack. Like, I watched a few of the plays where, like, Hassan Reddick normally would have, like, kind of took a certain angle, and it seemed like he was, like, not playing his normal – he was still getting after it, but it didn't seem like the same natural flow that I've seen all season from Hassan Reddick. I'm not making an excuse that it's just him. It just seemed like they were almost like they knew that record was within reach, because they did hit 70, but – 2 of the sacks, the only 2 they had were on, like, obviously the one was that weird punt or whatever they called, and The other one was, another play. So I think you're right to your point that they are kind of like they're not playing up to par if you're going to face one of those superstar quarterbacks. But I also think getting CG, I always mess his name up, CGJ, getting him back was huge. Obviously, it's his first game back.
Yeah, actually, he would, out of all the injured players, he looked like he missed the least amount. I mean, he didn't miss a beat. He was out there flying all over the place, making big hits, doing what he does. He almost had a few picks today at different points. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson looked like he did not miss a single second of football this year.
Yeah, I mean, great to have him back. And huge for the playoffs.
I mean, looking at Kyle's comment, we could be seeing this Giants.
I agree with Kyle. I agree 100% with Kyle.
The Giants almost beat the Vikings earlier this year.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle. I think there's a good shot we see the Giants.
And then that brings into the equation, can you beat the same time 3 times in a year?
I think that game will be a bloodbath, but I think the Eagles would win that game.
Yeah,
absolute blood. It would be one of the best Eagles-Giants games that you'll ever see. Right. I do think that's going to happen. God, I don't want to look ahead, but I think we're trending toward a 49ers-Eagles NFC championship. I really do.
Everything that's happened. Honestly, if you were listening to the broadcast today and you're listening to the check-ins from other games, I think the biggest thing that can hurt the 49ers right now is them going away from Brock Purdy. And I'm not a Brock Purdy fan, but I read an article today, or maybe I heard them say it on the broadcast, that Jimmy Garoppolo might be back by the second or third round of the playoffs, and that they would consider going back to Jimmy Garoppolo. That would be the mistake that would stop the 49ers. Right now, everything on paper, I mean, the Cowboys, again, just threw a stinker up there. Dak Prescott, another pick 6 today. Dak Prescott I'm a Dak Prescott guy. I like the person, Dak Prescott. But the quarterback, I mean, he'll never crack into that top 5 range of quarterbacks.
14-37 for 128 yards, a pick 6, his league-leading 15th interception. Most important stat, 10 3-and-outs in a game that they had to win against a third-string quarterback. Disgrace. Absolute disgrace, and I love it.
It's a disgrace, and I love it. Go ahead, Jason.
One thing I think that you could take as a positive, as much as you're probably right. Me and Mark are being overly critical. We should be enjoying this moment.
I am thoroughly.
Well, I agree, and I agree.
I'm not wired to enjoy this.
I am, but see, that's the thing, Mark. You got to enjoy the little thing. How many times have the Eagles been the number 1 seed in their life? Not
and
many.
How many times have they won 14 games? Never.
Exactly. I mean, this is just. You got to enjoy these moments. I'm an Eagles fan. I know. We're going to be critical all week on Trending in the AM. I'm going to pick this team apart. But right now, I want to enjoy the fact that we're the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Did you guys see that one stat? They said that Jalen Hurts actually is the first quarterback to win 14 games, the youngest quarterback to win 14 games since Dan Marino.
Oh, there
back
you go.
in 1984. I mean, it's not a.
Let's hope he has a better playoff record than Dan Marino.
It's not something that happens a lot, though. Like, think about it. 14 wins. He's 14-1 as a starter. And what I was getting at before I mentioned that and went away, we kind of went away from it. Your guy Shane Haff had an interesting point. He said that the pick that Jalen Hurts threw in the red zone was his first pick this season in the red zone. And Jalen Hurts' game in the red zone can't be discounted. Like the fact of his running ability and his 13 rushing touchdowns. So come playoff time, I think it's going to be a different Eagles team because if he's back to being able to do what he was able to do, let's face it, the shoulder doesn't hamper his running. The only reason his running was curtailed was because the team curtailed it today. Right. It's not that he's hurt.
I bet you if you asked, I didn't listen to any of the post-game press conferences. I came right in the office, started setting up for the show. I guarantee you, if you asked Jalen Hurts off the record, could you have gone full? Like, did you want them to have a normal game plan, or did you want to go full blow? I guarantee you said, yeah, I'm good. I would have gone. I would have rushed for this. I would have done that. Whatever it takes to win. That was 100% the coaches holding him back, holding the team. And you know what? Big picture, because we won and we got the number 1 seed, it was the right move. Now, if If we lose that game with that game strategy, then yeah, we'll question the coaches. But it was the right decision to hold him back because you did not want him getting hurt. I mean, the smarter decision would have been to just bench him then if that's the case. But
I guess the main point that I'm trying to make is that come playoff time, yes, they've been sluggish, but you're going to have Jalen being able to play full tilt like once again come playoffs. So it's going to be a different team than what we're seeing the last 4 games. It most undoubtedly, no matter who we face.
We're gonna face a familiar opponent at home. Probably weather may play a part. That place will be rocking. I don't, without a doubt, they're going to win that divisional. They come to the championship game. I'd like to see them win and go to the Super Bowl. I really do. But Phil, like when you're telling me like you should enjoy and relax, my feeling about this team today, just in my gut, there's something telling me that something's off. Something's going to happen. And I didn't have that feeling when they went to the Super Bowl and won it in 2017 because I thought the stars all aligned.
Come on now. You're telling me after they lost 6-0 to the Cowboys, when they lost 6-0, you can't tell me you're like, oh, in my gut, they're gonna run through the playoffs. There's no way you thought that.
I something about the team had me confident that they were going to go ahead and win out and win that Super Bowl. And there's something to tell me there's something off.
I'm not disagreeing with you that there's something off. But you know how hard it is to be on for 18 straight weeks? To be a perfect team? There's a reason why only 2 teams have ever gone undefeated in the regular season. It's hard to be on every single week. And yes, this team got ahead of themselves, started seeing the future a little bit too much. But you can't tell me that the future entering the playoffs isn't brighter now than it was in 2017. 2017, you had Nick Foles. Nobody knew what Nick Foles was capable of.
Is Lane Johnson definitely going to play?
There's
no confirmation on Lane Johnson yet.
Listen, if he plays, he's going to be like at 50%.
Yeah, but
is he better than 100% Jack Driscoll?
He's still better than He's better than 150% Jack Driscoll.
Look. Today was not a good day for
Jack.
Jack Driscoll sucks.
Look. Jack Driscoll will be better with Jalen Hurts back there than Gardner Minshew.
Yes.
Because of the running aspect, of the mobility aspect. Again, today they were protecting him. And I've said it 100 times. Yes, this is the great offensive line. But Jalen Hurts makes this offensive line even better with his mobility and ability to avoid sacks and ability to avoid pressure. And the fact that he runs those balls up the middle so often. Look, Jack Driscoll will be better in 2 weeks, if need be, with Jalen Hurts at 100% full bore. There's zero doubt in my mind of that. No, maybe.
No, I listen.
I want you to continue to address this because I'm really calling into question Mark as an Eagles fan, saying that
no. Wait a second.
Mark,
I'm a realist. I've been disappointed way too many times.
Right, that you had more confidence
Mark,
in 2017.
can I be honest with you?
Something with that team just told me that they were going to overcome everything and win.
Mark, do you agree with the statement that teams that have to battle some adversity teams that end up winning it have had to battle some adversity? Would you rather them have been 15-1 and then go into the playoffs?
No, not at all. Not at all. But
would you rather them be on this track right now and then have you doubting them, which you shouldn't be? Can I be honest? Let's all be real here. The only team that does scare me in this NFC is the 49ers. Aaron's right. Like, they are the team that could derail our season because of Brock Purdy being on this, Mr. Perfection run that he's on.
Really quick to cut you off, Jason. The Brock Purdy hype train makes me want to puke in my mouth. Let's be honest.
Listen, it all depends how they decide to defend this guy. Like, if it were me, if I was the defensive coordinator, I'd be in his face all day long. But we know Jonathan Gannon isn't going to do that. He's not going to do that. So
can Jonathan Gannon accept that Houston Texans job before the playoffs start?
Well, they were flirting with each other last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Stop comparing him to Tom Brady.
Dude, he's not Tom Brady.
Mark, can I say it?
Hold on. Aaron's trying to disguise his name as Sports and Metal. The Sports and Metal brand is going to go down in flames with Aaron, typing comments under that name.
Mark,
Go ahead.
Can I use a statement? Can I use this statement? If you're scared, get a dog. I know you have a dog, so. But really,
listen. I for the most part, the competition in that or in the playoffs in the NFC don't scare me. However, I'd rather not see another NFC East opponent because anything can happen.
I don't want to see Tom Brady.
Remember one key thing. Key thing. Hold on. You guys are talking Brock Purdy and all these people that scare you. Remember one key thing. What did today get us?
We got the bye.
Home field.
You think Brock Purdy is prepared to come into the link in the NFC Championship game with 30-degree weather and cold? No. Brock Purdy doesn't have a clue what he's going to walk into. Christian McCaffrey has even ever been in the playoffs. Deebo Samuel. I mean, come on now.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Great team. But Brock Purdy isn't ready for.
If I recall, Deebo Samuel had a monster game against the Packers. If I recall, in Lambeau.
Brock Purdy ain't ready for Eagles fans.
Okay, can I ask you this? Who scares you more, Brock Purdy or Tom Brady? Because to me, it's Tom Brady every day.
Wait.
This week in this playoff series, I would be more scared to face Tom Brady than Brock Purdy. 100%.
That's what I'm saying. Tom Brady to me is still scary because he's the GOAT, and because look at his last couple weeks. Yeah, he's been on fire, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Tom Brady.
Nah, bring Brady on because I'd like to put the nail in his coffin and end his career. Bring him on.
He's playing next year somewhere. I guarantee it.
You think?
Yeah, he's not. If he already lost his marriage, he ain't losing football. He gave up his marriage for football. He's playing till he can't play anymore, and he still took his team to a division crown. Somebody's going to pay Tampa Bay a bunch of money to take him off his hands. Yeah, exactly. Never sleep on Brady and Mike Evans. I agree with that 100%. 100%. I'm going to put out I'm going to do an NFL playoff power ranking this week when I get a free second. I guarantee Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are a lot higher than you think they are on my list. Brady is that's a very good possibility because Derek Carr is definitely gone. Brady might go there. Go with his old boy McDaniels. All right, back. Enough talk of other teams. We're talking the Eagles, guys. Come on. Focus. All right, let's focus on our team. All right, let's make this not a recap of this game, but I put it in the description of the show. How did we get here? Because let's think about it. Like I said, 2020 was atrocious. Last year, 9-8, barely got into the playoffs, got destroyed. Now we're the number 1 seed. I'm going to start with Jason. Didn't tell these guys that I was going to do this. So this is on the spot. Mark's going to have a few seconds to think his answers out. I'll start with Jason, unless Jason wants me to go so he can think it out too. I need you to give me your MVP of the offense, the defense, and the coaching staff, not named Nick Sirianni. And let's eliminate Jalen Hurts from the offense as well. Give me your 3 people that got us to this point to help us lock up this number 1 seed.
I think it's easy. For me, it's A.J. Brown.
Absolutely.
A.J. Brown is what made Jalen Hurts go to the height that he did. Mm-hmm. Defense has to be Hassan Reddick. I mean, what a season. If it wasn't for Bosa, he would be Defensive Player of the Year. I firmly believe. I mean,
I don't think he's getting the attention. I looked like a couple days ago. I think he was like 5th in the odds or something like that.
He
should be up. He should be up there. Absolutely.
I think they said he's the first
Blue City. If Kyle's prediction is true and it's Eagles Giants for the playoffs in the division round, you're coming on the show. Just so you know. Sorry, keep going.
I think I saw a stat that he's only the 3rd player ever to have 16 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 5 fumble recoveries in a season. And I think one of them was J.J. Watt, who's retiring today. Which, by the way, let's give a shout out to him. What a great career. J.J. Watt. But my defense guy, I am gonna get creamed for this. But I have to say, Jonathan Gannon, as much as I can't stand the guy, you cannot discount what the defense is as far as what they've done. They almost set an NFL sack record. A team that, like, dude, they put up more sacks than the 89 Eagles with Clyde Simmons, Jerome Brown, and Reggie White, which is insane to me.
Second most all-time sacks. I mean, in NFL history. That's unbelievable.
I think that's my 3.
Okay. Mark, do you have 3 other MVPs for this conversation? Or Jason, I gave Jason the layup here. You know what I mean? Getting first.
Here's the thing with the offense. Hurts is off the table because we know how great he is. And you said A.J. Brown. I think when you signed A.J. Brown, that is what you were expecting, 100%. Correct. And you got what you were expected. So he's basically comes as advertised. I think your offensive MVP, aside from those guys, is Devontae Smith. The dude has vacuums for hands. He catches everything in his area. He stretches the field. He can run slant. He does everything. And those guys, God willing, are going to be together for at least a decade. Devontae Smith is going to end up retiring as the Eagles' leading receiver. You've heard it here first. I love the guy. Absolutely love the guy. For defense, I do have to go with Reddick. The guy has been a madman on the field. And who's to say he can't get Defensive Player of the Year? Everybody's saying Bosa. Look at Reddick. I mean, and he's yes, he did. He set the single season for wide receivers. Wide receivers.
Yeah, so you got him. You got the receptions. A.J. Brown got the yardage record out away from my quick today. So yeah, continue on. Sorry.
Yeah, and from a coaching perspective, your MVP I think is always going to be Jeff Stoutland. You win the games at the lines, and that guy just got those guys prepared every game. And I mean, how many Pro Bowlers and alternates did he have? The whole damn line. I mean,
Pro Bowlers and alternates this year.
Yeah, I like you.
Line, yeah.
How do you not forget about that guy? With him, as long as he is on this team, I don't ever have to worry about any offensive lineman that we have.
Except for Jack Crystal filling in for Lane Johnson.
I mean, but here's the deal, though. He's replacing a Hall of Fame right tackle.
Absolutely.
So the drop-off, regardless, is going to be measurable. You know, I mean, he never ceases to amaze me. I really hope that he spends the next decade here or as long as until he wants to retire. I don't want to see him go anywhere else. And I think he's too old for him to want to go and actually run his own football team. I think he's very happy with his career.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But to what Jason says about Jonathan Gannon, and you know how much I hate the guy, he did pretty good. They listen, but here's the thing why I didn't give it to him. Howie gave him every tool in the toolbox, and they gave him 2 extra coaches for him to prepare. He had Fangio with him all season as a consultant, and he had Marcus Brady halfway through the season to help prep him every game. So you damn well better be the best defensive coordinator out there and be at the top of the list on there. I'm glad that the defense number-wise was good. There's still some holes there, I do believe, and I won't be sad if he leaves. I really won't. But Stoutland is my guy, and he'll be my guy until he tells me otherwise.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. I'm going to give you guys mine real quick.
Yeah. Give me yours, Phil. I'm curious.
All right. So we'll start on offense. Obviously, A.J. Brown would have been my number one answer. Devontae Smith, I get your answer. I know he has struggled the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks with fumbles and stuff, but you got to give Miles Sanders some credit for sure. I was on this show. Jason was on. Everybody was on the show saying we needed somebody else in the backfield. We needed some kind of improvement because Miles Sanders wasn't the guy. And Miles Sanders didn't earn it here in Philly, but Miles Sanders earned himself a big boatload of money in running back standards in this offseason from some team that's going to pay him. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be one of the hottest free agent commodities on the offensive weapon side of the ball. We've got to give him credit, but that is not my MVP. It's going to be the offensive line. I read an interesting article. I forget who wrote it. one of the Eagles beat reporters wrote a very interesting article that the MVP of this offense outside of Jalen Hurts is not A.J. Brown, is not Devontae Smith. It's not Jason Kelce or Lane Johnson. It's Isaac Seumalo. And I forget who I read it, but it made me think. And I watched Isaac Seumalo after reading this article yesterday a lot today. And he was everybody's like, just trade. I said it. Trade Isaac Seumalo for, what was the safety for Jesse Bates? I'm like, put him in a package for Jesse Bates or Andre Dillard or whatnot. And Isaac Seumalo has proven again that he's a Pro Bowl level lineman. And Isaac Seumalo, that left guard position, he was there every single game, 100% of snaps. You got to give him some love as well. I thought that was a very interesting, article that I read. I wish I remembered who wrote it. Jason, did you see that article?
I didn't. I'm wondering if it was Chris.
I thought you were shaking your head like you knew who it was. I can't remember who wrote it.
I'm wondering if it was Chris Franklin.
It might have been Chris Franklin. I would have remembered if it was Chris Franklin. Anyway, defensively, Hassan Reddick, obviously, I love the guy. I predicted 18.5 sacks from him. 16 is pretty damn close considering he didn't have a sack in the first 2 games. But I'm going to go James Bradbury. Because when we brought in James Bradbury, I'm like, why is he still available? Is this another Steven Nelson situation where it's just the leftover guys at the end of free agency? In my opinion, there's 4 key free agents on this defense at the end of the season. In my opinion, James Bradbury is the most important one because he proved he's on par, if not better, as a lockdown corner than Darius Slay this season. And he's a little bit younger. He's going to command a lot of money. But importance-wise on this defense, while a good pass rush makes your cornerbacks better, great cornerbacks make your pass rush better as well. So you can't take away what James Bradbury has done this year. Agree or disagree on that one, guys?
I love it.
I would say Gardner Johnson was probably more important to the defense than Bradbury.
He missed a lot of time.
I still.
And that's the problem. If he plays all the games, I might put him higher, but he missed a lot of time. James Bradbury was out there all season long.
And Gardner Johnson is also a free agent, and he's also about 5 years younger than Bradbury.
I think he's a free agent. Javon Hargrave is a free agent. We got a lot of big free agents.
If we're talking, we're getting that deep in there. I don't think Bradbury comes back, unfortunately.
I doubt it too. Yeah. But I'm just saying, importance-wise, I think what he did to this defense. Do you think the last couple of years that second cornerback position has been an issue for several years now? I mean, he really. Honestly, to an extent, he almost surpassed Darius Slay at times this year at performance, on the field.
Yeah, I listen. He played great. Don't get me wrong. But
I know it's an honorable mention.
Sure thing.
Brandon Graham,
absolutely.
With what he did
coming off
back
injury last year, yeah. I remember saying it on a preseason show, that you can't count on Brandon Graham at his age coming off that injury to do anything. The fact that he had a career high in sacks. Same thing with Javon Hargrave. First defensive tackle in Eagles. I don't even know since when to get 10 sacks as a defensive tackle, 10 or more sacks. I mean, there's a lot of guys that go around on that defense for MVP, which is crazy that we bash Jonathan Gannon inside and out. But it also goes to the fact that there's so much talent here that this defense is great despite Jonathan Gannon. And then if you have a defensive coordinator that knows how to maximize every guy, this could be the number 1 defense in football, in my opinion.
Jason, thanks for bringing him up because he should get serious consideration for comeback player of the year. And also Walter Payton, man of the year.
Somebody I don't regularly read. It might have been Jeff McClain.
Yeah. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, I mean, he can legit win both of those awards, and I really hope that he does, because I think he deserves both of them.
It's not just what he does on the field; it's his leadership. Like, it's just amazing. Like, I did watch. Like, he was the first guy that they talked to. I had on the post game live, post game live, and Brandon Graham was speaking, and he basically was like praising everybody else. Like, he's not a me guy. And you could tell that that's why this team is on a different level. And that's why I do have faith, Phil. That's why I do have faith in this team, because there is that specialness that there was in 17. I know you didn't really feel it, Mark, but I think really if you look inside that building, they know that it's not over yet. They know that their goal is the Super Bowl. Their goal is not getting just home field advantage. Their goal is the Super Bowl, and you could tell.
So my coaching MVP, guys, it's going to be a little different. I agree. Jonathan Gannon, tip of the cap to him. Giving Stoutland his love. Give him a gold jacket now. I agree. Howie Roseman should just give him a blank check. Whatever you want to stay our offensive line coach, got it. You're done. You're an Eagle for life. But I'm going to give some love to who I think, if Shane Steichen gets a job, head coach somewhere, which I think he'll be interviewed. Like last year, Jonathan Gannon got a lot of interviews, but really wasn't in contention. This year, I think Jonathan Gannon moves on. Shane Steichen is going to be a hot interview candidate, but I don't think he moves on. But if he does, Frank Reich is not the offensive coordinator here next year. The offensive coordinator here next year is our quarterbacks coach, Brian Johnson. Let you see what Jalen Hurts was last year to what he is this year. I do not think there's ever been that big of a leap in quarterback production from one player in going from you need to draft somebody new or trade for Russell Wilson to the MVP leader in the clubhouse. You have to give Brian Johnson, the quarterback coach, some credit. And a lot of great head coaches and offensive coordinators start as quarterback coaches. And let me tell you something. He's got a connection with Jalen Hurts. They were, whether it was high school or whatever it was, there are a very deep connection between those two. And he spent a lot of time making Jalen Hurts the man he is and the quarterback he is. So let's give some love to Brian Johnson, quarterback coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think that's a spectacular choice.
You nailed it. I think you got the best one.
I saved that one. I literally came up with that 5 minutes ago, but
that came out of nowhere.
But now Phil,
I had a Google search to make sure that was his name. I wasn't sure it was Brian or Ben or I knew it was Johnson. I just didn't know what his first. I had to Google search his name real quick.
You open up a little bit of a segue into now all of our coaches are hot commodities now.
100%. Brian Johnson's going to be a hot commodity.
You have to, as Howie and Nick have to make a decision. Who are they going to let walk? Because what they can't do is let both of those guys walk. You can't let your offensive and defensive coordinator both walk in the same offseason. So you need to make a decision on who you need more here and give them that assistant head coach position. And give him more money so he doesn't go out the door. You got to give him a promotion. I really don't know who the answer is.
It's not just you got to give them the promotion more money. You've got to lay out a plan for them because you've seen a lot of high, sought after coordinators stay where they were instead of moving on because they were promised X, Y, or Z or given, hey, look, this is the plan for you. If you stay next year, you'll take this responsibility. The following year, you'll give him a plan because Brian Johnson, if he's not the offense coordinator here next year, because of what he did with Jalen Hurts, somebody's going to look at the Eagles and be like, look at Jalen, look at the Bears. I don't know what the Bears coaching situation is, but you got Justin Fields. He's on the cusp. Is he going to be just the running quarterback and another Ohio State flop, or is he going to be the real deal? Tell me that the Bears head coach and GM's like, maybe Brian Johnson could be our offensive coordinator and untap Justin Fields. I'm just throwing. San Francisco, if they go back to Trey Lance, maybe somebody's going to want to bring in Brian Johnson to work with their mobile quarterback to untap somebody's potential and make them a better quarterback. You don't want to lose him. And he's obviously, like I said, got that very strong connection with Jalen Hurts, knowing him since he was a kid. So it's something that, when you win, with the joys of success come the loss of coaches. It's just the way it is.
Agreed.
It's like,
and you said Frank Reich. He's going to find his way back here. I firmly believe. Nick has said it. He owes everything to Frank, and he's going to get him either in a consultant role or assistant head coach role or something like that. So Shane might walk, and I'd be okay. I would be okay with either or getting promoted, not both. I'm not going to do that. They have to make a decision and clamp down who they want to keep for year 3.
We'll worry about year 3 in year 3. Let's take a quick pause in the action. Tonight's show is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of their 2 great locations, Fish down in Old City, and book your appointment today. They own the craft and it shows rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area, able to handle any style cut, adult or kid. Check out some of their great work right here, and we'll be right back. And we're back here on Trending in the AM, in the PM, here on DSM Media. Again, live on all social media platforms, but make sure you do us a favor. Like and subscribe on the YouTube page. Turn those notifications on. I don't know if we've gained 2 subscribers tonight, but we are 2 subscribers shy of 700. Let's get there as soon as possible, please. I'd greatly appreciate it. Please, please, please. I am Phil Stifel. We got Jason Voorhees. We got Mark Muscatelli. We're going to talk Eagles for a few more minutes here, guys. And then, because this is our fill-in show for the Trending in the AM show, if you're watching on replay on Monday, again, I greatly appreciate it. I will check all your comments. I do want to touch on the Phillies' big trade this weekend. I do want to get a little conversation of Phillies in at the end of the show. We're not under the pizza shop deadline where I have to end the show and get right to work, so we can keep rolling here. But, guys, we've touched on it. We've danced around it a little bit. If this Eagles team is going to face the 49ers in the championship game, this Eagles team is going to make the Super Bowl. If this Eagles team is going to win the Super Bowl, one thing has to happen. What is it? Mark, you can go first.
Hurts has to play balls out. I mean, that's it. They're going to live and die by Jalen Hurts, and if he plays like he did all season, and they get into that Super Bowl, I think they have a good shot of winning it. The problem is who is their opponent going to be? It's going to be either Kansas City, Buffalo, or Cincinnati, and all 3 of those teams. I can be honest with you. The Buffalo, I want no parts of anything Buffalo Bills. There's
even though Mac Jones threw 3 touchdown passes against them today.
I don't care, Phil. I don't want any part of Buffalo. None whatsoever. That is just not a team I want to face in the Super Bowl. You want me to be honest? I'd love to see Kansas City and just beat the balls off of Andy Reid. 52-0. That would just make me very, very happy personally. Probably not going to happen.
I mean, your Andy Reid showing.
Yeah, I don't. I think going up against those 3 teams that are vying for. They're all pretty tight all season. I'm a little on the queasy side, but if Hurts plays the way he's played all year, I think that's a lot for any opponent to overcome. So it's all on Jalen Hurts.
Big Ed, your dad, popping in, checking in, agreeing. Mark, Jason, is it simply that it's just Jalen Hurts and that's it?
I'm going to go an interesting way here. I think for the Eagles to have success and to be able to win the Super Bowl, they need to get out of their own way. And what I mean by that is the play calling. They need to run the football. I'm not saying run the ball exclusively, but they need to get back to basics. I think that they've kind of gotten away from that. When they started to have more of a balanced attack towards like game 5 and 6, that's when they had their most success and they had their best stretch as far as Hurts being on point and consistent. Then they started to get away from it in that Bears game, and then obviously he got injured, and then we saw what happened with Minshew when they should have went to the running game to help at the deficiency of quarterback. I think the Eagles' biggest enemy is their own. I think the Eagles have shown this season when they play consistent football and they don't make mistakes and they don't turn the ball over, they're better than just about any team. And Mark, I have to disagree with you. I think the team that is actually the most dangerous is Kansas City. I think Pat Mahomes has played out of his mind this year with losing Tyreek Hill and actually putting up more yards and having a spread the ball offense around. And they have that guy Pacheco, who's absolutely insane.
I love
the
it.
last draft picks in the NFL at running back, and he's been a monster. So I think
on a side note, I think the Eagles are watching what Pacheco's doing, and that's what Kenneth Gainwell needs to be doing.
You could be right.
That's what they expected out of Kenneth Gainwell, what Pacheco is doing.
Yeah, listen. I get what Mark's saying. I don't want to face the Bills. I think this whole DeMar Hamlin thing might have them on a track to be like just the team of destiny. It could be that. But I'm just saying, if you look at all three teams, I think the team that scares me the most is Kansas City. And I think that would also be another level. I get it that we want to bash Andy Reid, but you got to give the guy credit. He has won a Super Bowl finally with Mahomes. So
I'm all about exercising demons. And so if we see the Chiefs, listen. Jeff Lurie's going to say you got to beat this team. Howie's going to want to have them beat this team. Exercising demons. That's kind of like why I wanted the Eagles to win back in 2002 and beat Tampa Bay so they could play the Raiders and exercise those demons. I mean, they exercise those demons with Tom Brady. And listen, you got a dark horse in there too, Dougie P with the Jags. What a huge win, man! A huge win. So that team is going to be a little dangerous. I'm curious to see what they look like next year. I don't think they have the horse too much.
Jags are one and done in the playoffs, unfortunately.
I probably agree with that, but I'm curious to see what they look like next season.
All right, so
I think it's going to be a fun playoff. I think there's a lot of fun teams that are out there. Some teams that really fought their way to get in there. I think it's going to be fun all the way around. Some unexpected teams that are making runs. I hope that the Eagles are on top when the dust settles.
Quick update here on my computer to see Green Bay is up 9-3 over Detroit. If Green Bay wins, they are in. If not, it's Seattle in that 7th seed. Look, I've talked about since last season ended, I have been talking about one thing. The intangibles of Jalen Hurts. And that's all I want, and that's all I care about. I didn't care if Jalen Hurts became a better quarterback. I said Jalen Hurts, the intangibles, can win you a Super Bowl if he plays average. Because those intangibles, those leadership qualities, is what I want in a quarterback and a leader of a team. So I don't think there's anything that could stop this team from getting to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Because I think the intangibles win out in this NFC. I don't care about Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. I don't. Look, the 49ers are a good team, but they haven't played a defense like the Eagles in a while. The Eagles defense can match the 49ers in Philly. And the intangibles of Jalen Hurts will outweigh the intangibles of Mr. Irrelevant. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Now, it'll come Super Bowl, and those offenses of the Bengals, we saw the playoffs last year, those guys just going touchdown for touchdown for touchdown for touchdown. Especially in overtime. I just don't know if the Eagles' offense is quick enough to keep up with that. I don't know. We'll see. But I would never, ever bet against the intangibles of Jalen Hurts come playoff time. That is what you want. You want a leader. That's all you want. And he's the best leader in the NFL at this point. So, to me, I predicted the Eagles to win the Super Bowl before the season. I had them beating the Raiders. The Raiders stunk ass this year, but I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I agree with Jason. I think the Chiefs probably come out of the NFC or the AFC. The Bills, the Hamlin stuff, I understand all that. A lot of those guys in the AFC have made a lot of mistakes this year. So if I had to rank it, I think the Chiefs come out. I think the Bengals are ahead of the Bills as well, in my opinion, on coming out of the AFC. Joe Burrow is just Mr. Joe Cool, in my opinion. He's got a little of that Jalen Hurts swagger as well. It'll just determine whether we can hang offensively. Can we win a 45-41 game in the playoffs in the Super Bowl? Because if you got to go up one of those three teams, you're going to have to score 40 points to win that Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're going to have to mimic what Nick Foles did. You're going to have that kind of a performance.
Hey, maybe we'll tap into Nick Foles in the playoffs. Maybe since he's done in Indy and that train wreck there in Indy, maybe we can call Nick and he can come and hang out in the locker room before the game. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, is he allowed to? Because he's still under contract. But I would love for him to come out.
Look, the intangibles, Mark. That's all I'm talking about. The intangibles.
And I agree with you. I think Hurts has those, and I've talked about that too this year.
There's no thinking he has them. He has them.
What did I say? Jalen is him. He's the guy. He's him. He's really kind of taking that team on his back.
Joe Burrow
what's that?
I was going to say Joe Burrow might be Joe Cool. Jalen Hurts is him.
Yeah, he is him. Well, going back to Joe Burrow, did you hear what he said today? He said they asked him a question like, where's your window of opportunity? He goes, as long as I'm playing football.
There you go.
Is the window. The window's wide open. I love that guy, by the way.
Yeah, I love Joe. I love him too.
I absolutely love that dude.
I would love to see a Hurts versus Burrow Super Bowl every year for the next 10 years because those two guys could just battle it out on the intangibles.
And here's the other thing. Like, for me personally, I'd love to see the Bills win a Super Bowl. I'd love to see the Bengals win a Super Bowl. But if we're in it and we got to play those teams, like I don't want to be the team that lost to those perennial losers.
You just made me think of something, Mark, right there. The Bills lost to the Cowboys 2 times. They lost to Washington 1 time. And they lost to the Giants 1 time in the Super Bowl. Is this the year that they lose to the Eagles finally in the Super Bowl? Or they actually beat an NFC East team in the Super Bowl? There's 2 different ends of that storyline right there.
I'd love to see the Eagles win another Super Bowl. I would be
versus the Eagles faithful. Just think of those tailgates right there.
Oh, it'll be insane down there. Absolutely insane.
All right, let's wrap up the Eagles talk for a night there. We're still here live on Trending the AM in the PM. Jason Voorhees, Mark Moscatelli, Phil Stifle. Look, guys, I just want to spend a few minutes here. The Phillies, they made a big trade this weekend, and they went out and got Gregory Soto, closer of the Detroit Tigers. 30 saves last year. They gave up a whole Matt Vierling, a side of Nick Maton, and Danny who? I don't even know. Relief backup catcher at AAA or something like that. For Gregory Soto and Cody Clemens, Roger Clemens' son, which is, inconsequential in the trade. But they went out and got a legit all-star closer to add to this bullpen that's already got Sir Anthony Dominguez. It's already got Jose Alvarado. It's already got Craig Kimbrell. Matt Strahm. It's got Connor Brogdon, Andrew Bellotti. That was a huge trade for the Phillies, a huge win for Dave Dombrowski. Let me tell you something. The Philly GMs, they're all competing on who can make the best trade because they're all making these crazy trades. And Dave Dombrowski went out and got a huge win this weekend. Jason, I know you love this trade a lot. There's people all over the place, Jason, complaining about giving up Matt Vierling as his bench bat to go out and get another 100-mile-an-hour pitcher for the bullpen. Tell them they're nuts because I've tried to tell them all weekend they're nuts, and they're still saying that it's a bad trade for the Phillies.
They're absolutely nuts, and they obviously haven't watched what the rest of the league is doing, and maybe they forget that they watched the Houston Astros basically pitch their way to a World Series win against us because of their relief.
The Astros had fireball after fireball after fireball out of that bullpen.
So I think if you're not a revisionist history person and you can remember that, I think it makes perfect sense. I think Dave Dombrowski knows exactly what he's doing. I think you have some serious heat in that bullpen. You got Jose Alvarado and Gregory Soto, who have thrown 80% of the 100-mile-an-hour fastballs by left-handers in baseball. Yep. You have 2 guys now, and you can go left, right, left with Sir Anthony in the middle as the right-hander. And then, oh, by the way, you got Kimbrell too. So I think their back end of their bullpen is 100 times better than it was last year already.
Mark, why are people so upset about trading Matt Vierling and Nick Maton? Come on, guys. These are not needle movers, and you didn't have to. Everyone heard the rumor that Soto was coming here, and they thought Abel or McGreary was going in this trade. They gave up 2 bench bats.
Trading those guys is a bunch of nothing burgers. They're just. I don't. They were stopgaps and bench guys. Like Vierling was never going to start on the team. Maton was a bench guy, and Sands is a backup catcher or a catcher. I know they believe in Stubbs, and they definitely believe in JT Realmuto. There's no room for a guy like that, even if he was a prospect, to come up. So I don't have a problem with what they gave up. They get a bench guy back in Clemens. But Soto, though, I just, again, looking at the surface at his record, how many blown saves did he have last year? Because he went 2-11.
He is wild. He only
had 2 blown saves. I mean, listen, the Tigers are a terrible baseball
Tigers
club.
are a terrible team.
Yeah. So, but I like it. And here, I believe in good juju. I believe in good juju. The only two teams that ever won Phillies World Series had a Greg on the team. And now we have a Greg on our team. So it's good juju going into the
I like
the
that
league.
thought
It's
process on it
yeah.
right there.
So
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's not even about the
out there.
players. It's about how aggressive the team has been. They went and fell 2 games short of a World Series, and they could have took their foot off the pedal if they wanted to. But that mindset just isn't there with Middleton as an owner, Dombrowski as your GM or president or whatever his title is, and Bryce Harper as your superstar. He's the guy that's kind of leading the charge. Listen, you signed me to all this money. You need to get moving. He is the catalyst to all this stuff. And I love it. And I'm just thinking, like, what if instead of Harper, we got Trout, who's, listen, he's a great ball player. Don't get me wrong. But does he strike you as a guy that is going to be fiery and pushy? And he just doesn't. And like, there's talk now that there's going to be a fire sale there in the Angels organization because they're selling the team. And they're like, well, Trout to the Phillies. You know how I say it, like, he had his chance to come here. He chose obscurity and comfort to stay in California. I don't want him here. I mean, but because I mean, Harper is leading the charge. There's no doubt about it, and I just see this team getting better and better and better.
I think the reason why so many people dislike the trade was because the analytics give grades to players, and the analytics say we lost this trade because Veerling's worth X, Maton's worth Y, and Soto's wild. But you think about it, Soto's not the closer here. And we saw how much Rob Thompson likes to fluctuate his high leverage guys. And also, Jose Alvarado was a train wreck for half of last year.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while for him to come back. Soto is basically Alvarado under team control for 4 more years. So he's an arbitration eligible guy for 4 more years. And he's basically the same type of pitcher. You got the shift. What did we talk about at the end of the season? The shift is going to change how you want in your pitchers. You're going to want strikeout or fly ball pitchers. Ground ball pitchers are going to beat the shift now. You know what I mean? They're not going to be as effective. Another strikeout guy that's just going to throw fireballs up there. And, yeah, he might walk some guys. But you know what? Go ahead.
Who do we have on we're going to have Derek Hall on the bench. He's going to start the season there.
Probably.
For outfielder, though, I mean, they're floating around. I keep seeing McCutchen, and he's done. But who do we have in the minors that could come up?
There's not too many guys now in the minors.
The Guthrie guy was on one of the playoff rosters. They're going to have to bring somebody else in.
I think I've heard Adam Duvall. Someone I mentioned Corey Dickerson, who was here for a short time. They don't need a star. They just need a guy to fill out the bench.
There's half a dozen guys. So basically, you traded away Veerling and Maton for a guy like Gregory Soto, and there's a half a dozen guys available, just like Veerling and Maton, that could fill that role on a veteran cheap deal that want to play on a playoff team. And that's exactly what you did right there. You traded away guys that are easily replaceable with any of those free agent names. And you're good to go. Some people have said Rojas, the minor league slugger.
That's the guy. That's the guy.
Called up from the minors. Guthrie, like I said, was on I forget which round of the playoffs he was on the roster. He was on one of the rosters. You could figure that out. Don't worry about that.
Listen, I like the trade. I love, again, it's not so much the players, it's the aggressiveness.
Absolutely. Phillies are all in. That's why I put a tweet out there after the trade happened. The Phillies are now the number 2 team in Philadelphia in my personal power rankings in importance in Philly. The Sixers had kind of taken that number 2 spot for a while, but the process fatigue, the Doc Rivers malaise has kind of set in. And with that World Series run, and like you said, Mark, how aggressive they've been in this offseason to not be content, kind of puts they'll never overtake the Eagles. They just won't, especially with the run the Eagles are on right now. But the Phillies are the number 2 team in the city now.
Absolutely.
That's huge. It's huge.
It's great. Would you have thought, even in September 1st of 2022, would you have ever thought that the Phillies would be the number 2 team in the city again at this soon?
No way.
No.
No.
Just like you didn't think that the Eagles were really going to make the Super Bowl and win it in 2017. Anyway, moving on.
You're a ball breaker.
I know. Hey, it's 9:30. It's normally the time when I give my dogs their meds and head to bed now. You know what I mean? So
it's way past Phil's bedtime.
So I know I put. Let's have some fun. 2 minutes. Let's wrap this show up here. I put out a little fun tweet on my Twitter page about a pizza I served today to a customer. My big 52 slice, massive 30-inch pizza. We're gonna go around. We've gone around the horn a few times here. Jason, I know your answer already. But if you had a 52 slice pizza, what toppings are you putting on your pizza?
Well, you know my answer.
Your answer already was lots and lots of pepperoni.
But I also agreed with you that it is overrated, but I still love it. But if I had to have another choice other than pepperoni, I'm actually going to go meatball.
Meatball. I
love meatballs on pizza.
Onion and pepper and green peppers. That was my pizza for lunch yesterday that I made myself. Meatballs, green peppers, and onions. Mark, what is your?
You know what I like.
You're getting to a 52 slice pizza for your Super Bowl party when the Eagles are playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl in 5 weeks away. What are you putting on your pizza?
Mushrooms and anchovies.
Come
on, man. Anchovies are perfect. I'll either eat a plain slice or mushrooms or anchovies. I prefer the fresh mushrooms. The canned ones are I am a big anchovy guy, though.
Let me give you a little mushroom. Let me give you a little mushroom knowledge. Canned mushrooms are better for your pizza than fresh ones. There's a lot of moisture in mushrooms, raw mushrooms. So when you cook them on the pizza, that moisture comes out and makes your pizza soggier.
Well, aren't the canned mushrooms in water? I mean, how much?
But you drain the water out before you start putting them on pizzas. So a lot of that water's out of the mushroom. So you get a crispier pizza. I like a crispy pizza.
I love a crispy pizza.
You get a crispier pizza with canned mushrooms, just so you know.
And Phil, I saw that picture of that pizza on Fox Den there. I would crush that pizza. I would eat half that pizza. No brainer. At least.
I dare you. I guarantee you can't eat half that pizza. You're old. I want to bring up Kyle's point here because he brings up two staples: pepperoni and mushroom. Bacon is the most underrated pizza topping there is. We put bacon in everything. We wrap our sandwiches in, or meats in it. We put bacon everywhere, but not enough people put bacon. My personal go-to favorite. This is gonna surprise you guys. I go bacon. I go a little Italian sausage. I go red onions, and I go yellow banana peppers. That's my go-to pizza combo.
The banana peppers aren't bad, and
they're underrated. I put them in my cheesesteak, on every sandwich I make, every pizza. Banana peppers and bacon need to go in everything, always.
I also like black olives on a pizza.
You like all the disgusting stuff. You put black olives or anchovies on a pizza if you don't want to share it. Because even if you put it on half the pizza, the rest of the pizza smells like black olives or anchovies. And then the people that don't like it can't eat the rest of the pizza.
Dude, read my last name. Look at the last name. It ends in a vowel. These are the things that my people put on pizza.
I might be a Stifle, but I'm a Calabrese and a Terzi as well. All right? So there's plenty of vowels in my name, okay? And in my background.
Jason, you're a pepperoni guy through and through?
I mean, I love pepperoni, but I also love Italian sausage on pizza.
Dude, either the sausage or the meatballs.
I'm a meat lover.
Green peppers. Oh, man.
I'm a meat lover. Yeah, so either I get bacon a lot too. I think Phil's right. It is underrated.
Yeah, you got to get, especially if they have nice crispy bacon.
Like real bacon, yeah, not like the fake.
Not bacon bits.
Right. But you got to crisp it up, really well, the bacon, so that it's nice and crispy.
What about like a specialty pizza? The ones that I like is a buffalo chicken pizza.
We sell a lot of that. See, we sell a lot because I'm in Kennett Square, which is Mexico City Central. There's a lot of Spanish people in my town. We sell a lot of the Hawaiian pizza, the ham and the pineapple. Pineapple is disgusting on pizza, in my opinion, but we sell a lot of it. But I would say our number 2 pizza, the specialty pizzas, is a buffalo chicken. Absolutely, we sell a lot of that right there.
And what about a white pie? Do you guys eat a white pie?
I like a white pie. I like a little ricotta, some onions. I put my banana peppers on my white pizza as well. I love my banana peppers with the ricotta and whatever else.
Broccoli on a white pie.
I think broccoli is the worst vegetable ever made. So you won't ever see me put broccoli on a pizza. I'll give you guys one more pizza. I make a really great pizza here. It's a Delco thing for you Delco people. It's the upside down. Okay? So what you do, you put your mozzarella cheese down first. Sprinkle a little layer of Parmesan cheese on top of that. Then you put a layer of provolone cheese on top of the mozzarella cheese. And then you put your pizza sauce and then extra pizza sauce on top and spread that out. So it kind of looks like a tomato pie, but it's got a layer of mozzarella and a layer of provolone underneath the sauce. So it's super cheesy, it's super saucy, but if you like your sauce and you like your cheese, it's the
both worlds.
It's what
I
always
sounds pretty good.
People ask me what's my favorite pizza. I'm like, well, the most underrated pizza I sell, and that's what I tell them, and I try to convince them to get that all the time. Yeah, for a real margarita though, Kyle, you gotta have fresh basil, you gotta have fresh mozzarella, you gotta be in Naples basically to get the perfect margarita, which I have been many of times. So I'll never have a margarita like I did in Naples ever again. So
no. What about tomato pie? Do you do?
I do a tomato pie, absolutely. I mean, again, I like the tomato pie, but I like the upside down because it's basically a tomato pie with that double layer of cheese underneath it. So I prefer that.
I'm gonna after the show is over. I'm gonna go order a pizza because I want a pizza really bad.
I am going. Dude, I have
9:30 at night.
155.
I'm just teasing. I might have a frozen pizza that I can heat up, but no.
I think we're done talking pizza. KC, this comment from KC is the best comment we can close the show with. We're not number 2. We're not number 3. The Philadelphia Eagles are the number 1 team in the NFC, tied for the best record in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't go away from that. I think that's a perfect way to end the show. Right here on Trending the AM, in the PM, or the AM if you're watching it on replay tomorrow morning. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate Jason and Mark for joining me this morning, whatever it may be. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, you turn the notifications on. Follow everybody and DSM Media on all social media platforms. This is Trending the AM. I'll be back Tuesday morning live. Who knows what I'm going to be talking about? Probably Eagles, probably Phillies, probably Sixers. Sixers with a win tonight. We're going to wrap this thing up with a Go Birds, guys, and see you guys all tomorrow or Tuesday morning. Go Birds.
Go Birds.